Good evening. Welcome to Moments with Lady K and Mistah Show, where they converse on motivational living, clearing negativity from your life, local events, and more. Here are your hosts, Kimberly McLemore and Teryck Coles.
Ta-da! Hello, and welcome to Moments with Lady K and Mistah T. We are your hosts, Kimberly McLemore and Teryck Coles, better known as Lady K and
Mistah T.
Da-da, da-da. Da-da-da-da.
Hello, Lady K.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I am fantastically well. How are you?
I'm doing great. April is an amazing month for me. You know why?
Oh, I know why.
Do you know why?
I do know why.
It's my birthday month. It's my birthday month.
Happy birthday. If it's your birthday, make some noise.
No, it's that's right.
Some people will understand that song reference I just did. Some people won't. If you understand it, then you know who you are. How you doing? In my Wendy Williams
That's
voice.
That's right. How you doing? Okay. Yes. It's another amazing month, and that means it's another year. You know, another new year for me. Big 5-4. I can't believe it. Cannot believe it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Getting too close to that 55. Oh, but anyway, so enough of me gloating about my birthday this month. You know, some people celebrate it though all month. I just can't. I haven't been able to get into that mode of celebrating all month because I'm too tired to try to celebrate all month. One day is plenty, okay? One day is plenty. So,
well, let me tell you, my grandmother celebrates 30 days before and 30 days after. So she celebrates. Well, actually, I think she's even further out now. But last I could count, she was celebrating basically her birthday for 60 days, 30 days on either side. And then some of her friends, you know, they're older, and you know, they might not give her a gift until like July or August. She said, "Well, I'm still celebrating my birthday," or it might be February. Yeah, somebody gave me a birthday card, but my birthday's not till May. But that's okay. And I'm like, well, okay. And so. For anybody out there who knows my grandma, please keep it within the 60 days.
Right.
Because at the rate we're going, if you give her a gift and it's outside of the 60 days, rate we're going, she can be celebrating her birthday all year, which she deserves.
Exactly.
But I'm like, Grandma, it's November. It's Thanksgiving Day. It's not your birthday. But somebody just gave me a little piece of change. Oh, okay, Grandma. Happy birthday.
Well, nothing like collecting all year. Nothing like collecting all year, right? That is funny. Oh, my gosh.
That's true.
But, all right. So, enough of the great birthday stuff. So, now we will move on to just to tell the listeners just a little bit about who we are and what we've been doing. And before we get into our amazing topic of discussion that we will be talking about living the life you have yet to live, setting intentions. But before that, Mistah T, tell the world a little bit about you.
Oh, it's time to tell everybody about me. I was going to come with the rhyme, but I can't rap. Never mind. I can't rap. Let me stop. Let me stick to what I know.
I was going to say, you got something else new I don't know about you? I didn't know you was rapping these days.
Yeah, I've tried it, and I've been told that I sound corny.
Oh, my gosh.
And here's a little something about me as I'm talking about myself to listeners. When I try to use slang terms, like I've had people say, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You don't even sound right. Like if I was to say something's lit, it just doesn't sound right. It just, yeah. So like, oh, that's so lit. And it don't even feel right coming out of my mouth. So I just don't do it.
No,
unless I'm saying
not you,
the candle is lit. I guess I'm getting older, so it just certain things just don't work. But yeah, listeners, how y'all doing? So great to be back. Seeing y'all here in the month of April. Abril, if you speak Espanol. My name is Teryck. Everybody calls me T. Of course, you guys know me affectionately as Mistah T. And I am the owner-operator of Move with T here in Northern Virginia, right outside of our nation's capital of Washington, D.C. Also, I am a contributor to the Z-Beat, so I write a monthly piece for a motivational piece there for them. I forgot to mention this on our last show, but at the beginning of the year, I started a 7-part series on getting unstuck and out of your rut in 2020, which is available on YouTube, on my IG channel, and also on Facebook under Move with T, of course. So you guys can go tune into that and check out in case you need to get your life unstuck. I'm looking forward to gearing up very soon, something new for you guys. So keep your ears tuned to Mondays and see what's going to be coming at you. Other than that, I'm an uncle, I'm a friend, I'm a brother, a son, grandson, cousin, all that wonderful stuff. And of course, a doggy daddy to my little Shih Tzu named Pepper. He got all the attitude. I might have to start just putting pictures of him up every so often on our social media so people can see what he looks like. Or maybe I just need to create his own social media, Pep's life or something.
Exactly. I don't know. You may have to quit your job because he's going to take over, okay?
Right. Yeah, hey, I can just manage him, and I can get my coins off my little pooch.
There you go. People do it every day.
Hey, there you go. Hey, it's got to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have anything else that I can think of. I had some events earlier this year of something coming up for May, but just trying to solidify the dates. So hopefully I'll have more information by our next show for that. And I think that's all I got, Lady K. I think I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, you always have such amazing things to talk about. So about yourself, and like we talked a little bit about last month in March, we talked about the fact that you were definitely on my show in February on my other show, because I actually have 2 other podcasts, which is Your Resource for Success podcast program, which is just all about entrepreneurs coming on and sharing their stories, women, men. I've had a lot of men this year that have just been extremely interested in being on the show. So it's been really exciting beginning of the year, having all these different men come on and talk these different topics. And we got some amazing celebrity guests coming out for the month of April. And I will share that you definitely don't want to miss the opportunity during the month of April on my show, the Your Resource for Success show, because I have amazing ex-football player named Roger Craig that I will be interviewing on Thursday, April the 9th. That is a show you do not want to miss. He is big time. I've known Roger and his family for many years. So he's from my hometown, Davenport, Iowa. But if you don't know anything about football, you need to go back and look up his name and know who this man is. They've been fighting for years to get him in the Hall of Fame. He's definitely well deserved. But that part you don't want to miss come in during this month here in the month of April. And then the other show that I have is called The Author's Corner, which I didn't talk about last month. But the Author's Corner is where I interview nothing but authors from all over the country. So that's an exciting, and most of them are published authors, and we call ourselves indie authors because I am an author as well, an award-winning author, and have 3 amazing books out and 1 on the way, which I'm not going to get deep into that. But I'm also the CEO of the Women's Small Business Initiative, which is an online program that just provides free resources for those who are interested in doing small business. And, like I said, I'm all about not reinventing the wheel. So if there's some information we can give you to help you be successful in starting a business, then that's the place you want to be. Right now, membership is still free. Eventually that will change. So, you want to try to get as much information you can while it is still free. But anyway, then of course I'm the co-host of this amazing show, Moments with Lady K and Mr. T. So this is one of my favorite shows because this is an opportunity where we really just can not talk about so much business, but more just having conversational opportunities to think about things that we go through in our life and how we share with others, and providing some great, as we call, golden nuggets to those who may be stuck in life, or certain things that are going on that they need that inspiration. And that's what we do, is inspire you to move forward in what you're doing. So with that said, our topic, what is our topic for tonight, Mr. T?
Our topic tonight is living the life you have yet to live. Setting intentions. Not setting intentions, but setting intentions.
That's a good point. That is a good point to make. Sitting intentions. No, that's not what we're talking about. So, very interesting topic. And when we had last month's topic, we talked about going with the flow gets you nowhere. And it was such an amazing conversation. And it was our first show that we started out for the year of 2020, that this month's topic, living the life you have yet to live and setting intentions, is absolutely, it just flows right into it. And it's definitely a great topic of discussion to have. And this topic, living the life you have yet to live, that stands out more to me than just the setting intentions right now. And the reason why I say that is because we harped quite a bit about, in our last month, about the fact that people are just living in not existing. It's easy to be stuck. So, what is that life that you have yet to live? What is it that you're not doing? And the one thing that I mentioned last month too, and which flows so perfectly for this month, is the fact that I have a book that strictly talks about, are you living or are you existing? The pros and cons of balancing life. The things that we haven't done is because 90% of the time we're living through the lens of other people. And I say that all the time because we all do it. Somebody takes a trip and we're like hearing all the great things that they did on the trip, and it just sounds so fun and beautiful. And we're living through their journey, through everything that they did. Why are we not doing that ourselves? What are we doing? How are we setting the intentions to do something that's going to benefit us more than it benefits the other person? And that's kind of how I see this topic. And it gets a big part of it is because I'm always looking at self-assessment, always trying to reach in within myself, but also teach other people how to look in that mirror. What are you doing? What have you not done? Why have you not done it? And what are your intentions to make that happen? Have you set, like we talk about, goals? I'm not one who particularly cares about setting new goals every year. I may set the same goals year after year, but the reason for that is because I think it could take all year depending on what it is you're trying to accomplish. And not every goal has to be done just within that year, because it may be a certain circumstances where you have to continue to grow. You have to take little baby steps. So you have to, take the baby, you have to crawl before you can walk and then you can run process. And I think a lot of times we don't do that. And because we're not doing that is because we haven't set those certain intentions. Like we said earlier, we're not setting intentions, we're setting intentions in order for us to live the life that we should be living. And it does take time. It may be because of money. It just may be because of the people we're surrounded by. It may be a multiple of reasons, but what is it that you're trying to do, and why have you not done it? And what are the intentions that you're trying to set in order to make those things happen? That's how I'm going to start. And then go ahead, Mr. T, you go ahead and let us know, what was your thought process on this?
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're sort of like,
I was listening to you. I was like, okay. I was like, I said, I'm over here making notes and stuff. I'm like, okay. For me, in order to live life, or live the life that you have yet to live, it's important that we live our lives intentionally. And some people probably are out there like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. When we live our lives with intention, it's basically living our lives in a way that we are being purposeful in our actions. We're being aware in our actions. One of my biggest things is, in order to be intentional you have to be present. And
love it.
by present, it's not just showing up and being physically there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be engaged in what's going on, even if it's something that you don't really want to do. I mean, like none of us really loved. Well, can't speak for everybody, but I mean, geometry was not my favorite class when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still there, and I was present, and I was engaged. You know, and so it's just really important, just in life, that we be engaged with what's going on around us. So many times, I think we experience a disconnect because we have our phones and other smart devices, the watches are synced to the phone. So you got this, and you got your earbuds, and I have to admit, I'm guilty of not being always present, at least seemingly present, because I'm walking my dog, but I got my headphones in, I'm listening to this, that, or the other. Now I'm fully watching my dog and checking for any dangers that may be surrounding us, but with my and I noted this with my earbud being in even only just one ear, part of me is disconnected with the environment that I'm in. So if there's a sound that comes in that I miss, or there's something that happens, I miss something. So I miss some level of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really probably like my number one in having our listeners and working on setting intentions and
Mm-hmm.
living and trying to live the life that they have yet to live. And my other thoughts were just before I get too far over that way was I started thinking about in my thought process about how when we were kids we always wanted to be like, I want to be a fireman, or some people say I want to be a princess, or you have those childhood goals of what you want to do, and we all know that unfortunately everybody's not Meghan Markle, so they can't marry a prince.
Right.
So it's like
it sounds like that's not the way to go. No, I'm just teasing. Go ahead.
Right. I'm about to say we see how that worked out for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
But real life gets in the way a lot of times and detracts us from what those childhood goals are when we felt like we could accomplish anything. But I want people to kind of think back to when you were little, or in that time before we started to, not believe in Santa Claus anymore. Those times when we started to wake up and become aware of the world around us. Think to kind of flourish back to that time when we had that innocence and we just wanted to be anything, and think about, what do I want to be when I grow up? And, a lot of people say you can be anything. And in many ways, I would say it's very, very possible. But of course, people forget about the work that goes into it. Mm-hmm. So in living the life that you have yet to live is also about doing the work necessary to get you where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Oftentimes we live in this, we live in a microwave society where everything is instantaneous. There are people getting fame on Snapchat and Instagram and YouTube and reality TV, and I'm not being shady to any of those people by any means, mm-hmm. especially those who use those opportunities as platforms to be bigger than what they are. Look at Cardi B, from her humble beginnings to where mm-hmm. she's at now. She's got a Pepsi deal. Right. But at some point, I'm sure she had another plan other than just, to be honest, other than just being on a stripper pole.
Right.
So she set some goals in her life, and she stayed aware and present of what was going on in her life. She set some goals. Sometimes, in order for us to live the life that we want to live, oftentimes we got to get out of our comfort zones. We get into that cruise control of life, like we talked about in the last show, where you get up, you brush your teeth, you do your morning routine, you get in your car, you go to work, you come home, maybe you go to the gym, you come home, you go to bed, mm-hmm. and then you do it all over again the next day. You go out, you hang out with the same people, you go to the same places, you do the same things. So, if you truly want a better life, many times we have to place ourselves in different circumstances. Now, not anything dangerous necessarily, where you're driving somewhere you ain't supposed to be,
Right,
or
right.
and I'm not saying go parachuting unless that's something that you need to get out of your comfort zone, but it's kind of about really just, doing those things. And this is something that may seem minor, but it's really a big thing. But sometimes in order to live our lives with intention and to get to where we want to get to in life, we have to remember that we have to make room for what we want. So we need to go through and declutter. And by that, I mean that we have to get rid of things that are the physical baggage, that, whatever, we all have that drawer, that junk drawer.
Mm-hmm.
That just is like a catch-all, or it might be a chair that just gets stuff and you just stack it up and it's somewhere that's out of the way. So, but you just leave it. But we gotta go through your mail regularly. Get rid of that junk mail that's been sitting on your counter for 3 months. As it piles up, and also the mental baggage and emotional baggage, things that are holding us back, in order to truly be present and aware and to live our lives in such a way that we can get to where we want to be with our best selves and live the life that we want. We do have to make room for it. So we got to clear things out, because, they say you have to make room for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's no space for something new to come into your life, it's not going to manifest itself. It's just going to just drift off and possibly pass you by. So make sure you got some space for it.
Exactly. Yeah, I like what you've been talking about. And the thing that stood out to me the most is being present. That is extremely important, because we think that we're present when we're really not on certain things. And
Mm-hmm.
just like you've been talking, and what I've been talking about is the fact that it takes time to live the life you have, that you want to have, and the things that you're willing to do in order to get there is what's most important. And so when we're present and we're intentional, we understand that we're going to eventually get there. But if you're not willing to take those steps in order to make that goal, and that's really what it's about, is having a goal, because you're trying to figure, hey, am I living my life the way I want to? Have I got to that pinnacle that I want everybody to see me as, or that what makes me happy? And I think a big part of the problem that people have is they are more worried about what other people are going to think, because they're trying to live their best life. They're trying to get somewhere
Mm-hmm.
in life that others aren't. And as we've talked before, not everybody's going to understand your journey. Not everybody's going to be willing to be there for you. But when you know that you're ready to grow, and as you talked about earlier, that as children we had no fear. We didn't care what people think. We always believed that, I want to do this, I want to do that, like I said, you can either be a prince or a princess. If that's what you honestly believe, then that's what you're going to honestly believe and think about. But then when we become adults, we have a tendency to forget those dreams and think that those dreams can't become reality. And a big part of it is because we know it does come with work. There is no, there is no instantaneous in the world that we live in today, where everybody thinks that, if I build it, it will come, because you have different platforms that you can utilize that we didn't have 20, 30 years ago. So these platforms make people instantaneously get what they want, but will you be able to sustain that? Is it really the true you? And that's the key. So when you talk about being present, and then putting in the work and doing the things that you have to do, it all comes with the price. And that's just the reality. And so you have to understand, what is that price for you? Is that price going to be, so high that you really aren't as happy as you think you are, because you're so busy trying to get to that pinnacle in life that, I got to be here. I got to be way at the top so people can see me. And that's not really what life is supposed to be about. It's what are you trying to accomplish? Who what are you doing for you versus what are you doing for others in order to make sure that you are definitely living the life you have and living the life you have yet to live. You know, those are some of the things that we all have in our journeys in life that we all go back and you think about, even if you don't want to admit it, you're thinking, you're always wondering, where is that next level? Is it really worth getting to that? You know, what was I really trying to accomplish? And if I have accomplished it, is enough? Or do you feel like you have to keep adding more just to feel like you're not going to go away? And I think the one thing I found that, you know, being kind of in the limelight, like what we do, and what I mean by that, you know, I'm not talking about, oh, you know, we're not celebrities, but at the same token, you know, the business that you have and the business I have, we are always in front of people. We're always working with people in different ways, but we're still working with people. So we have a certain thought process of how we feel we have to be and look and feel in order to make sure that we're pouring into other people and making sure that they get the messages that we're trying to convey. And we've done that because we've set certain intentions for ourselves to make sure that, yes, we can't pour into people if we're not doing the same thing, right? We can't sit here and have these conversations and give this type of information if we're not really living our best life as well, but we are still growing. So I can say that I'm not there yet. I'm still growing to get there. And, you know, I have my limit. And when I feel like I've met that limit, I'm not going to go any further because I don't feel I need to, because I feel that life is more than the journey of life is not just about setting goals. It's also about living. And when you can understand what that means, then you know you've reached where you need to be, and you have definitely lived the life that you need to live. I mean, that's my 2 cents. Indeed. That is my 2 cents.
And I just want to piggyback really quick when something you said, and it just took me to a thought about, it's something that you said. I don't know if I'm piggybacking on it specifically, but I think it's important that people just realize that, you know, setting intentions or living with intention is not the same as setting a goal necessarily. Setting goals is one thing. They work together. In so many ways, but the biggest thing, I'm glad that you brought this up, was about just being that awareness, being present, and how I spoke about being engaged. Because if there's one thing I hope people understand and can take from this conversation today, is the power of just that engagement with what's going on around us and how important that is. Because that will open you up to so much more than you can realize. Sometimes we get many of us say, "Oh, I'm good at multitasking." I have friends that say that, and I'll say that I can multitask. But when you're multitasking, I don't know about you, and you let me know if I'm wrong, Lady K.
Okay.
But I truly, when I sit back and think about things, I can only truly do one thing at a time. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I can do multiple things at one time." But are you really doing those multiple things at one time? How engaged, how present are you in each of those things that you're saying that you're doing as you're multitasking?
Exactly.
Because I think, you know, I think people get lost, and I don't want to veer off course here, but people get lost with multitasking, thinking that they're doing multiple things at one time. But really, all you're doing is dedicating different amounts of time to different things in a smaller amount of time, rather than getting each its own full focus. But when you can really pull back and focus on one or two things at a time, you can be more mindful and thoughtful in what you're doing with whatever that thing might be. So when I want the listeners to make sure that they understand when we're setting intentions, or when we're living our lives in an intentional way, that what we're doing is we're basically sowing the seeds for our future and for our success, you know, at the end. So this is your life. Like literally your life. This is what you're doing. So you want to make sure that you're successful, because you don't want to end up, not successful. I mean, I don't know anybody that's like, oh, I'm okay with being mediocre. Now, they may be mediocre, but I don't know anybody that says that they want to be mediocre. And I don't know anybody who says, oh, yeah, I want to be less than. Right. They may be for whatever reason, but I don't know anyone. Of course, I don't surround myself with people like that either.
Exactly.
But I don't know anyone that lives their life in a way that they purpose themselves to want less than they have, or only what they got. And it's not to say that we should always strive to want more, but we should strive to want better for ourselves.
Exactly.
So we can be better. And if you have families, you want your, most parents will say, I want my child to be better than I was. I want my child to have better experiences than I did. So, but in order to do that, we have to sow the seeds that ultimately create our futures to help us live the life that is waiting for us on the other side of yes.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said that better. I mean, yeah, you hit on some very, very valid points. I love that when you talked about the multitasking piece. And it's funny because I'm that type of person where feel like I'm always multitasking, especially when I'm rushing home and, okay, well, I'm going to get on the phone and talk to my mom. Then I'm going to prep dinner and do this. And then I'm going to do this. And I'll be like, okay, you know what? Like you said, you have to, you're multitasking in a way that it's not really focusing and being 100% there. You're doing, okay, well, I'm chit-chatting on the phone, but at the same time, if I'm not paying attention to my food, I can burn it up, right? So it's
right. And who wants that?
Right, exactly. So at the end of the day, you're right. There's not a whole lot of people who can truly multitask and do it properly. It's just most of the time it's usually a figure of speech, in order to get what you're trying to get done in that moment, because you're rushing to get it done. And you definitely, if you're not 100% present, it's never going to be it won't come out the way it should. And we all know that. So obviously, if you're talking and cooking at the same time, your focus should be on the cooking, because anything can go wrong when you're not focused on doing that. And that's with anything in life. When you make a decision to be present and put all your time into that one particular thing that you're trying to reach, because you have a certain intention for it, you're going to reach that goal. You're going to be success. And everybody that's listening, and even for both of us, we all look at success differently. We all have our own purpose of how we see success, and it should be that way. There is no conformity there. The world will make you believe that you have to conform to a certain amount of success in life. A lot of times the worst part about it's because it's materialistic. It's not reality. And it's not about, being successful is not about how many materials you have in your home, what you're driving, and, and all the other things that go on in your life, or how many trips or places you can go, or how much money is in your pocket. Because at the end of the day, if you're not happy, you're not happy. So you have to always go back and look at those things that are making you who you are and what you're becoming. And like you're saying, sowing the seed. Every one of us who have children, or all of our parents, we hear this all the time. We want you to be better than what we are. And we all have heard that we want each generation to be better than who we are. But in order to do that, if you're not setting that stone, and you're not sowing those seeds and making everything available for them, they're not going to know. Because what I see in the generations today, I'm glad that my son, I'll be honest with you, I'm glad my son was not born in this generation, because as we talked about before, in our previous show, we talked about the not so much the generation, but everything, it has to be done today. It has to be done now. The microwavable generation is what I look at it as. There is no work in order to get to where they need to get to. It's instantaneously for every single thing that they want. I need it now. And having that I need it now attitude will not get you to allow you to live your best life, because you haven't had the experiences that you need to have in order to get there. And life is about experiences. It's truly understanding those steps that you need to take in order to realize that, wow, this is how I got here, because I did what I needed to do in order to appreciate it more. instead of saying, I need this right now. It's like a spoiled child. And we have a lot of spoiled generation that I can see today. And that's just my visual, because being that I'm in my 50s, I've seen enough generations to come, my generation and then on afterwards, and realizing that everything that we have, we've really had to work for. And I was always raised that, look, there's things you can do in your life. So when you're setting your intentions, like, you can either use your brain or you can use your back. Which one do you want to do? So it's life itself, that when you can truly appreciate it, then you know that you are living it the way it should be lived. I'm done preaching now. Thank you. My famous words for the day.
Right, I'm gonna say you've been preaching the last couple shows. We're gonna have to get you a pulpit.
I'm telling you, I'm like, woo, look, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I always tell people, I've always feel more comfortable being behind the mic. I don't know what it is about this mic. I think because a lot of times, when I interview, even when I'm interviewing other people, I find that, when you're on the video screen and people can see you, they're seeing you, but they're not listening to the word. They're not listening to what people are saying and what they're sharing and the resources they're providing. And so when you have shows like this, when you can truly sit down and conversate with that other person, people have to listen, because they're not seeing us physically. They're just hearing the words, right. And they can relate to what we're saying versus saying, oh, I'm looking at her or I'm looking at him and, oh, he cute, he fine, he this and that. They'd have lost the whole purpose of what we're trying to talk about,
right.
So I just always think that being behind the mic just really gives you an opportunity to be more authentic and not worry about, what am I wearing? How does my makeup look? Is the lighting on me right? Do I look fat? Because I hate being on video, because my face look like I'm about 90 pounds heavy. I'm like, really? That is not how I look. So.
No. I've seen some of your videos. Remember, we are our own worst critic.
Exactly. So, being able to speak in a way to where, I feel that I am able to have that inspiration by just hearing it. And because there's also the thought process that people don't think about, that there are people who are listening to us who don't have the ability to see. And then there are some people who don't have the ability to hear, but we can also still share those messages in the way that they need to be shared. But we're hoping that every time that we open our mouths and we have a specific topic, that we are truly inspiring and giving the individuals something to go with in life, even if it's just for that day or for that moment, that they're actually hearing what we're saying. And even though we laugh and we joke, we're truly sharing some of our golden nuggets, because this is what we've shared in our own lives. And we feel, and like I said, I'm always about sharing resources and making people understand you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and that you're not the only one out here. We all are going through something, but as long as we're here willing to share it with you, we just hope that you're taking it all in.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I like that you said about reinventing the wheel, because I have a group of a small group of people that I'm mentoring, which is what you know about that, but our listeners don't know about that. I'm mentoring a small group of folks, and something that I've been stressing with them is that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just have to help the wheels to spin in our direction, or the direction that we want it to go.
Right.
So, and they were like, okay. But when you said that just resonated, because I was like, I've been talking about that like the last 2 weekends that I've been with them so intensively. Don't recreate the wheel. Help it to spin in your direction.
Right. Because like you said, it's one thing to learn the basics. Everybody has to know the basics, right? But then once you understand the basics, it is about what you're trying to accomplish and making everything come in your direction and so that, and making sure that people see that it is you and that it's not somebody else's direction and somebody else's things that they're doing. But it is important. And it's like everything that you do with Move with T, it's all about inspiration. It's all about sharing, but sharing in a way that they understand that it's coming from within, not just from the outside and what people see. It's everything else that it's more important. And I think that's the thing that's amazing about what you do, that every time you're on that stage or you're teaching that class, there's never a moment that goes by that you are focused on just you. It's always about everybody else outside of that. So that's when you have reached a certain intention and living a certain portion of your life that you have done because that was a goal, and you set certain intentions and you realize, you know what, I've done what I'm doing, and now here's the next level, and you're going there. You are constantly going there. So I applaud you, because, honey, you are doing exactly what you need to be doing, and you're appreciated. And so for those who don't know Move with T, y'all need to get together, okay? Get it together. Okay.
Come on out to those events. Come on out. Come on out.
Exactly. Come to the class, because, each week the class is constantly growing. I know I'm going completely off topic, but, the classes are growing every week. When we're in there, you see constantly new faces with the old faces, as I would say, the old crew, the old Zuma crew still hanging in there. But then you have all these amazing new people coming through the door, because there's a certain persona. There's a certain thing that you can feel within the air when you walk into that classroom. And it's not just the dancing, it's everything else outside of that. It's not just the exercise, it's everything else outside of that. And it's the spirit, it's that true identity of really allowing people to be who they are. And like you said, they're turning it into their direction as you're giving them the basics of what they need to make that happen. And that's what everything in life that we need to do, is that there's always going to be the basics. We're taught from the time we're brought into this world that you have these basics. Now, what are you going to do with it to make it better?
Right.
All right. Whew. We always bypassing the time of our show.
Always.
Like, I don't think we're ever going to do it. If we do it in 30 minutes, it's because we tired. So.
Right. Like at some point over the summer, we might have to pick a nice, light, fun topic. Just not that these aren't, what we've done so far is not informative and fun and engaging, but maybe we'll find something lighter so our listeners can tune in and then get to bed on time.
Right. They're probably like, y'all said it was a 30-minute show. Yeah, but y'all way past 30 minutes. But we are definitely going to end the show. We're almost at 45 minutes. We're definitely going to end here. And I think that we have definitely have inspired, and we're constantly getting people to think, because these last couple months have been about that. March and April, all about growing within and thinking and making sure you're not just standing still, that you're still moving forward in life. And, we think that's important. And I think a lot of people at the beginning of the year been talking about, 2020 as being a new year for them, a new way of living, a new way of thinking about themselves first. I know that's been a huge thing for me, being in the world that I'm in. So, I think a lot of times that when we're having these conversations, even though they may not be just all fun and laugh and just hanging out and acting crazy, it's still important to know that there is something there that needs to be shared, because anybody can get on the mic and just act the fool, that's easy to do. So
that's true.
Yeah. But when you can get down to some nitty gritty, some topics, and share some real life situations, I think that's even much more appreciative and appreciated. So
definitely.
All right.
Well,
but
where are we? Where are we in our show?
we are definitely bypassing. I mean, I don't know if we have any more moments of inspiration that we need to provide. I think I've done enough on my side. If there's something else that you would like to say, sir, before we close the show down, please go forward.
I'll just add, I guess it's become my thing to do my little moment.
Yeah. I love your moments. Yeah. I love your moments. Me, I just be like, I didn't look up anything to give you.
I would say then, for the moment, for our show to close everything out, I would say intention creates reality. Sow your seeds mindfully.
Love it. And I'm not even going to say anything else about that. That was perfect. Perfect way to end the show this evening. And as usual, you know, I always truly love being with my tea. I truly appreciate it.
I enjoy you.
Yes, and hate it when we have to come in the show. But, you know, people have things to do, and they don't want to hear the rest. They don't want to spend another hour or two listening to us all night. So, as usual.
Yeah.
We're not even
and Pepper's quiet.
Yeah,
Pepper doesn't say anything. He barely even barks. So,
right,
like
but
if we put him on, it'd just be him looking at a mic and staring at it, and then sitting down.
And he probably saying, "I wish y'all would hurry up." Anyway, he's like, "Who he talking to on this phone this whole time? Ain't paying me no attention," is what he's saying. So we're going to allow. Oh goodness. But anyway, as we said, you know, we are definitely at the end of their show for the evening. It has been a pleasure as usual being able to hang out with you, Mr. T.
Pleasure's always, Lady K.
Thank you. But to our listeners, we really do appreciate you chiming in and hanging out with us on our show, our monthly show here on iHeartRadio and Spotify and many other platforms. We are here every single month at 7 p.m. and it will always be on a Sunday. But until next time, you all have a wonderful evening and good night.
Good night, everyone. Moments with Lady K and Mr. T will return next month at 7 p.m. Follow us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.